Welcome back.
to Greenlight Studio.
We just saw Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. And we have some thoughts. And
we do have some
I think
thoughts.
this is going to be a little bit controversial.
I think it definitely will be.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a spoiler-free section. We're going to end that with our star rating, and then we're going to get into spoiler-filled thoughts. And we'll give you a warning before the spoiler. But with that said, spoiler-free thoughts starting now. Go ahead.
I think first off, this movie is very poorly paced. I think that you feel every second of these 3 hours, and watching this movie at 10 o'clock when I'm very sleep deprived, and I know you were talking about the same thing, I'm sure that played into it, but oh my god, when we left this movie theater, one of the first things I said was like, are we sure that was only 3 hours? Like, this was one of the longest feeling movies I've ever watched, and is definitely not like the actual longest movie I've ever watched.
I agree. I've seen some movies that are this length-ish or longer, and
Yeah.
they feel shorter. You want to talk about Titanic? Even Schindler's List feels shorter than this. And like it's just it's poorly paced because it's poorly structured.
Yeah, and I think an example, like we were kind of talking about this earlier, but like Project Hail Mary, similar in length, I think about a 10-minute difference, but that movie flew by in my opinion, and I think that that's a really good example of like a very evenly paced movie where things were kind of happening the whole time. This movie is like everything is compacted into the middle, and the first like hour and the last hour are such a drag, and it is so boring. Like I'm remiss to say that I was bored by movies, because like I think that's kind of associated with like TikTok brain. Oh, you have no attention span. This is a really boring movie.
Yeah, I don't like to say bored. I was pretty restless. So that's just a synonym.
Yeah.
But I do want to just start off with the things that I did like by this movie.
Okay.
Because I mean they're going to be talked about to death, so I'm just going to hit them. Every single technical aspect in this movie, except for one, which we'll get to later, is immaculate.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe it, immaculate.
This is one of the best looking movies I think I've ever seen.
Agreed. I think it's the best looking movie of the year, maybe the decade. I think it is the most technically impressive movie, probably, of the decade.
There were literally hundreds of like very clearly practical like fire things and different types of like stunts and all that.
And the ocean and the sunset and the mountains and the landscapes are just
very,
captured so
very,
amazing.
very real. And like you could feel the effort through the screen, and they all translated very well.
I was just blown away by some of these shots. Like truly, my mind was blown like by the cinematography, the sound design, the production design, the costume design.
Yeah.
Everything, the colors, the lighting, everything was like on point.
Yeah, it felt like someone somehow snuck a documentary camera into ancient Greece, which is very impressive.
It's so impressive. And the movie does at many times feel epic. And I think like if you're, I mean, it's probably a niche crowd, but if you're a big fan of The Odyssey by Homer, then then I think you'll be happy with this, because I haven't read the book, I don't really know much about it, but based on what this movie is, it seems very faithful.
Yeah, I will say, like, I'm not like super familiar with The Odyssey. Like, I was a little disappointed with the lack of Mario, but I was
that took me a while to get. That's pretty good.
Sorry. But I was like unfamiliar. Like, there were some twists and turns that I did not see coming at all. And were like kind of actually pretty shocking, and I think some of those moments work very well. But other times I think they try to do things that think they're smarter than they really are, which is a problem that I think a lot of, big budget major Hollywood releases have, is they think that they're more intelligent than the audience is. And I just think that they try that in this movie, and it doesn't exactly work.
Yeah. Oh, and the score. I forgot to mention that. Also very good. That's really all I have to say about the positives. It is a very strong positive because, again, it's insane. But for a mixed thing, I would say the acting and the cast. Now, for some reason, there's been huge controversy about this cast, and a lot of that is just, whether that's misogyny, racism, transphobia, and that's ridiculous. I don't have a problem with the actual casting of the movie. I do think that
I don't have a problem with
big of a cast.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. When you go and you just Google Wikipedia A-list celebrities and just copy and paste that list and put it into a movie, it's hard to get connected to the cast. And I think that there are some really good performances, specifically like Matt Damon and Robert Pattinson, I think deliver great performances. However, there are some you disagree with Matt Damon?
Okay.
But I think that there are also very one-note performances. Specifically,
that's actually what I was going to say.
No offense, Tom Holland's performance, I'm not a huge fan. I will agree. I think that go ahead, say what you were going to say.
Okay. So I just think like I'm not going to fault the actors. Like, I'm not going to pick out a specific actor and be like, this person did a bad job.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really say that for anybody. I think that the script lets them down, and maybe even the directing, but mostly the script.
Yeah.
Like, these characters, again, I'm not familiar with the characters in the Odyssey original book, but like, they're flat. I mean, Matt Damon, I think Odysseus, he has a little something to him, like, especially in the end there. We get a certain flashback, and it's very reminiscent of Oppenheimer, I'll say that. Mm-hmm. But there's something there. Everybody else is completely one note and flat. Like Tom Holland is given nothing in this. I mean, he's a good Spider-Man, but like I haven't really seen him been able to actually act. So I don't know if he's a good actor, but this movie did not prove that to me because he does nothing in this movie. And so much of this cast, like they'll just be like an A-lister that does nothing.
Yeah.
Like John Bernthal is in this, Benny Safdie is in this, and Zendaya is in this.
I didn't know Safdie was in this.
Yeah.
I didn't even.
He's that guy in that giant bulky helmet.
That's why they didn't show his face, probably.
And they just do nothing. Like,
yeah,
they're given nothing.
I was also going to comment on Zendaya's performance. So forget it. Like what even was that supposed to be? Like
I think we can talk about that. We can talk about that in spoilers.
Okay. Yeah, I won't get into that. But I was not really a fan of Zendaya in this one. And another personal gripe that I had with the movie that is, I will credit, probably this is not the movie's fault, or at least the script's fault, but I thought the sound mix in the theater we were in was a little bad. And so this already kind of hard to follow dialogue with these really complicated names, they would say a name and I like couldn't hear it. So half the time I had no idea who they were talking about. And I would like to assume that was just the theater that we were in. However, it could have definitely been the sound mix. And if that was the case, I think that like the dialogue could have definitely been louder and more clear. I think the overall sound design was very strong, but I think the dialogue was a little unclear at times, a little muddy.
Yeah, that's actually a common thing in Nolan movies, at least like in theaters. Like a lot of times the dialogue is not easy to hear. I know that was a big talk when Tenet and Oppenheimer came out. But yeah, and then Robert Pattinson. I think you realize maybe this movie is not that complex.
Yeah.
And he just made his character kind of goofy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Is it a great performance? I don't think so.
Really?
But is it fun? Yeah, like that. He was the best character to watch on screen for me because he was just so like, just weird.
So I agree, but I do think it was a great performance. It reminded me very much of his performance in Mickey 17.
Okay.
Where it was like at the end of the day a serious character doing weird, silly things, and some of his quote-unquote decisions were a lot of his line deliveries, but with the script, I really wonder how much of that was the script and how much was his choice, because I thought he definitely made me hate him. Like, he was a very good villain, in my opinion.
I was kind of impartial to him. I just thought he was fun to watch.
Really?
I
thought he was fun to watch, but I also disliked him. But I don't know. That could just be me.
Yeah, I mean, there is like a line delivery or two in here that was almost to the delivery of Adam Driver, Go Back to the Club, and Megalopolis. It's not like that bad, and it doesn't seem as out of place. But like, it's, I don't know, like at least he drew me in. At least I wish that he was the main character. But other than that, like I think the thing with the cast and the people, and a lot of this is the dialogue. Again, like, this is not really the fault of the actors themselves. These people look like they're pulled straight out from the 21st century.
Definitely.
They look like that, and they act like that, and they talk like that. And some people have excused that, saying like, oh, this is modern retelling, so like they're going to use more modern phrases. Which I do understand to an extent, because if this was actually accurate, they would be speaking Greek. They wouldn't even be speaking English. So I see the argument, but at the same time, I feel like they do try to throw in some like, not poetic, but like old timey words and like random sentences. Like it feels like there was two writers, one that was trying to be accurate and one that was trying to do a modern story.
Yeah, and I think that honestly, when it got more poetic, is when I liked it less. This is what we kind of said in our short review, is like, I think that there is absolutely an audience that is going to eat this movie up. Like those of you guys, if you're watching, which we know you are, who are obsessed with ancient Greece, obsessed with the Odyssey, obsessed with like, you know, the vibe of old-fashioned Greek, you're going to really like this movie.
And good for you. I'm happy for you.
I'm happy for you too. This is a major release.
If I could like this movie more, I would want to. I spent 3 hours in the theater. I wish I liked this more.
I personally, as someone who just experienced it, also having, you know, someone near and dear who holds the same opinion, I don't think that this is like a general audience pleaser.
Thing about Nolan is that he's got some glazers.
That is true.
I would say he's the most overglazed director besides Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah,
he's the most overglazed. But
that might get some hate.
I'm ready. Bring it on. And
leave your meanest hate comments. Maybe we should react to hate comments.
Ooh, that should be a video of its own. Yeah, that's an idea right there.
Yeah.
Like Christopher Nolan's got some great movies.
I would know about that.
But people gloss over his flaws really easily. Part of that is his structure. And part of that is his dialogue. Like sometimes he thinks he's cooking up something really smart, and he will just like try to come up. I swear he's just like coming up with lines. And some of it's like almost like I'm 14 and this is deep.
Yeah.
And he's just like throwing them in there. Like what was the one where it was like, a song is sung so that a man's song can still be sung after he has sung a song.
That was like an hour in, which would normally be over halfway through, and that was not even a third in. So I honestly have no idea, but I do kind of remember kind of groaning to myself.
I did groan at a couple lines, and like that's in I feel like all of Nolan's movies, like where there's some corny narration monologue while there's swelling music, cut to black.
Yeah,
and it's just it always makes me cringe. Like some people think it's aura. I think it's cringe. Okay, yeah. There was one line that was like, they show you what you want the most. But it's what you most can't have, and what you most can't have is what you most already have had.
Yeah, like
and I don't know if what you most can't have. I don't know if that's grammatically correct.
I was trying to figure out like what that meant in my head.
It's just stupid.
Yeah,
it's just stupid, quite frankly. But then they'll say something that's like, "Let's go, let's fucking go," and that's not even the worst example. Like there's just other things that are like,
I think
you lucky bastard.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do think they used the word "dude" like multiple times. I could be wrong, but I feel like I remember them saying "dude," which is just so out of. I could be completely wrong and making this up. Take this with a grain of salt. But like, if that isn't the case, the reason that I'm thinking that is because there are lines that are very similar to that. It really does feel like, they try to like get hip Gen Z dialogue in on this, and it's just like it just doesn't work because of the overall vibe that they're going for.
Maybe just pleasing the Travis Scott audience. I don't know.
Maybe just pleasing the people that were in front of us. I would like to break the fourth wall a little bit here. I would like to really highlight our theater experience because it was an interesting one. There was a group in front of us, and we know you're watching, and so we're calling you out. Phones full brightness.
Almost the entire time.
Talking the entire time. Literally went on a FaceTime call. Again, phone with max brightness. At one point, the one dude went on Snapchat and did like the front flash filter thing where it just makes your phone screen super bright and held up his phone to take a photo, and it had like a 5-second timer on it. So I just saw him in his phone screen doing this for like 5 seconds. They were vaping, not smoking. They were vaping, drinking just from an open whiskey bottle. It was a weird experience.
And if that's you, if you're someone at all like that,
I was waiting for you to say, I want to know what the vibe is here.
Don't go to a movie theater. And you know what? I could say something a lot worse.
Go for it.
Say it on YouTube. And the last thing I want to talk about, probably in the spoiler-free section, is the structure of this movie specifically.
Yeah.
I think I'm not going to get into what specifically it is, but Christopher Nolan. This is another one of my huge Christopher Nolan problems. He loves nonlinear storytelling, and I swear now he just does it just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
He fucking loves it. Has he ever made a single linear story ever?
Maybe. I wouldn't know. This is my first Nolan movie, by the way.
Really?
It really is, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a couple, but like I feel like he just does it because for like coolness sake,
Yeah.
And in this movie, it's really to the detriment of this movie.
Like obviously it would have been a little different, not to get too far into spoilers, but like there are character emotions that wouldn't be fully understood if it was linear, but I would have much preferred like a rewrite where it was just linear, because the way that they tell the story is really dumb. And if you've seen it, I feel like even if you like it, you can agree that this, I feel like, would be better if it was a linear story. And
if this was linear, it would just feel more epic, because you get this beginning to end, like this epic tale, this almost saga.
It's almost like the cool scenes are intentionally broken up by things you don't care about to somehow make the cool scenes cooler. But what it does is it just pads out the already incredibly long runtime for no reason.
Yeah, maybe they just wanted to hook people from earlier in.
Yeah.
But then it just, by having these nonlinear moments, things are revealed, and the story that it just has less weight, because you know where certain things are going to end up. And it breaks up the pacing in a really awful way. And I agree. It just feels like okay, the best way I could describe this movie is side quests and unskippable cutscenes. I think I told you that after we walked out, because that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And that's why I think this movie could have been cut so much, because of that.
And I said this in our short review. Maybe an hour is excessive. This movie had no right to be 3 hours.
Absolutely none.
Even if this movie was like 2:15, I think it would have been still too long. I think they could have gotten this story across in 2 hours.
And I get that The Odyssey is a long book.
Yeah.
But like, I think Homer must have just been like really fucking bored, because like this did not all need to be in this.
No.
And I'm sure he already cut stuff out for this movie. Yeah, guys, I'm not reading The Odyssey. I'm sorry.
No, but it's like 1,000 pages, I think.
But
I'd rather just play the game.
But yeah, like the structure of the story is really terrible, and it just makes it even feel even more like a cutaway gag. Like a character will be like, "Hey, remember that time that we were in a Trojan horse?"
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to a Trojan horse for like 15 minutes, and then cuts. It's bad.
It's
bad. And I did say there was a technical element that wasn't good, and that is the editing. And
Yeah.
and that editing isn't just the way that the movie is paced, even though that's a big part of it. It is also literally the specific edits in this movie. The cuts between shots are just weird, and sometimes it's indecipherable.
I was
going to
say like the big action sequences. Sometimes they're really cool, but the times that they're really cool is because the shots are unbroken. Half the actual like action elements are just quick moving fast cameras, which I hate so much because it just you can't tell what's happening. So like they'll be in a sword fight, suddenly the camera cuts, you don't see what happens, and then like it's done.
And it doesn't help that they're all wearing the same.
It really doesn't.
And even like not even the fighting scenes. Like
this is they were wearing no clothes.
I wouldn't be upset. There is a scene where, without spoiling, there's a scene where like they're walking through some like mountain or valley, and like they're looking at animals, and just the way that was edited, the edits were so quick, and you couldn't understand what was going on. I swear there's a couple times in this movie where they break the 180-degree rule, which if you don't know what that is, yes, I'm a cinephile, yes, we're filmmakers, look it up. The editing is really awful, like surprisingly awful for how big of a movie this is, and the fact that they put so much technical craft into this, the fact that the editing was just so bizarre. Like there would just be a cut or a series of cuts that was like, I was just taken aback at how that was executed.
And that makes me wonder if like the footage, like if this was originally supposed to be like over 3, like maybe this was supposed to be like 3:30 and the weird cuts are to like cut out runtime.
I think so too. I actually was thinking that exact same thing.
Yeah.
And in a way, this movie feels rushed, but at the same time, so slow.
And that's the thing.
I don't know how they accomplished that.
I feel like this video has kind of made it seem like I'm speaking for myself, like I don't like long runtime movies. That is not the case at all. But I think it gets to a point where like, no matter how good or interesting your movie is, I don't want to sit in a movie theater for 3.5 hours, you know? And I mean, including trailers, that's what we did today, and it wasn't the best experience. Like, I don't know. I think that past 2:30, you really have to earn it. And I personally just don't think this movie earned it at all.
My opinion on long movies is, because I'm not TikTok brain, okay?
Yeah.
But I think that a movie should be as long as it should be.
Yeah.
So if your movie is 80 minutes and your movie only needs 80 minutes, that's amazing.
Perfect.
I love it. If your movie is 3.5 hours and it needs every single minute, I will happily watch it if it's good. I'll happily watch it. I don't care. But this movie did not earn all of its.
I mean, I've said this a million times. I think it's 3 hours and really only needed 2 of them.
Yeah.
You could call me crazy for that, but
I'm not calling you crazy.
That's my opinion.
I'm calling you valid.
That's my fucking opinion.
Star rating time?
I think it's star rating time.
I'm gonna give a star prediction for you. And
yeah, obviously we're gonna go star prediction. You know what? I'm gonna do something crazy. I want to volunteer myself, and I want to guess first. I think you guessed first last. Okay, no, I think I did guess first.
It's fine.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. My guess is that you are gonna rate The Odyssey 3.5 stars.
Okay, my guess is that you're gonna rate it 3.
You are on the dot. I'm gonna rate The Odyssey 3 stars.
Okay. I'm gonna give you my journey through this movie.
Okay.
The first like 30 to 40 minutes, I was like, oh my god, is this seriously a 3-star movie that I'm committing 3 hours to?
Yeah.
And then in the middle chunk, I was like, man, this is just so like insanely impressive and just like insane to see on screen. I gotta give it 3.5, just the obligatory 3.5.
Yeah.
And then I had been sitting in that theater for almost 3 hours, and I was like, this is just not worth it. And I dropped it down to 3, so I'm at 3 stars.
I will say there was a time in which I was sitting in that theater thinking to myself, this is a 4-star movie. And then you know what it did? It lost me.
It dragged.
It just
dragged and dragged and dragged.
So with that,
we're getting into spoilers.
Let's get into spoilers. So in 3, 2, 1. How about you start?
Not that much to say. I feel like everything.
I feel like there really isn't much to say.
Elliot Page says, "Go home and take a shit."
He does say that.
It's pretty funny.
It is really funny.
Probably my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah. The poop joke. He also, just for the record, does not say that, but he says a line that sounds really like it. He has blood in his mouth that also kind of looks like poo-poo.
It does kind of look like poo-poo.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson unlocks a new slur, plate liquor.
Plate liquor. He says it with a lot of diction, too.
He loves it. I mean, they probably use that word like 4 times in like a span of 10 minutes. Let's talk about Zendaya's character.
Let's.
Because I was like, what? I didn't understand. Like, I thought I was missing something.
Yeah.
And then at the very last scene where it was revealed that she died during the Trojan War, I was like, oh, I get it. They're kind of going for a Schindler's List thing with the girl in the red jacket. It's the same concept.
I don't know what that means.
That's okay.
Okay.
But just the weight that he feels after seeing this innocent civilian get killed because of a war that he is leading. And I you know what? I thought that was cool.
I didn't fully understand the emotion that they were going for with Odysseus' character, like his opinion on the actual war, until that scene, which I don't know if that was lost on me. I would like to clarify again. This is a really long movie, so I was not 100% the entire time. I wouldn't even say I was 100% at the beginning, because we started this movie like 10 o'clock. We were watching this movie until like 1:30, which is insane. So I might have completely missed that. But like, I really liked that ending scene where they were like recounting the Battle of Troy. I thought that was expertly done, and that had, like I said, a lot of the like practical stuff with the buildings collapsing and all the fire. That was one of the most beautiful sequences and legitimately very emotional, and I almost cried. I genuinely almost cried during that scene in a 3-star movie.
Close, but like
I was kind of close. That's why I liked Matt Damon's performance in that. What I didn't like was that upon reflection and a quick glance at my watch, is I thought that was like the final sequence. I think there was still like 30 minutes of the movie left after that, maybe even more. I have no idea. That was probably about the time that I realized that it was not a good movie.
It's not a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie, but it's definitely not the like 4.3 on Letterboxd, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes that it is right now.
No. And then like I think Odysseus was characterized fine enough, and it's a very physically demanding performance from Matt Damon. If we're being real, he peaked in Good Will Hunting, but it's still not quite enough. Like if you're gonna make the main character for a 3-hour movie should be deep.
Yeah,
you spend 3 hours with this character, I should know him like I know you, almost. And I just like I kind of got in the with some of like the side quests. Like I got that he was like tactical and like he was a bit of a better thinker than the other soldiers, maybe more in touch. I got that. But the ending is that scene where we flash back to the Trojan War and see Zendaya die. That's the only scene where I feel like we actually touch in to his emotions or any kind of depth with his character.
Yeah.
And if you've seen Oppenheimer, it's basically the last scene in Oppenheimer. It's just not as good and not as earned. And it was a good scene. It was a good scene, and I like that they included it. And like I like that because it actually gives you something to cling on to in terms of character and story, which I don't think this movie does a good enough job at doing. Would that have been better if they did that earlier on in the movie? And you see the guilt throughout his entire journey, and you see him like more contemplative. Maybe on a rewatch, you would feel that, but I'm not gonna rewatch this thing.
No, I'm definitely not gonna rewatch at least anytime soon.
Yeah, no. But like having that emotional weight throughout his entire journey or most of his journey maybe would have been more impactful. That was a good moment. Could it have been more earned and paid off better to make a fuller character arc? Yes.
Also, like one of the other big characterizing moments was when who I now know is Benny Safdie's character, when he was talking to him in what's the underworld called?
The underworld? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. In the spot where all the dead people came back, and he's saying how like he went back and his wife turned on him and killed him, and so then that leads Odysseus to go back and he like blends in, and I hated that entire act because it just dragged on for so long and it didn't make any sense. And this kind of goes with the bad writing, but he wasn't even really trying to hide who he was. Like he's talking about Odysseus like he knows him, he knows his feelings better than anyone else. He's talking about like this is how Odysseus felt, this is what Odysseus did, and he says like, oh, I was in the battle with him, but like he doesn't really hide the fact that he is very familiar. In fact, he's talking to his own wife, talking about literally recounting memories that if he was not Odysseus, he would not have had, and his own wife does not recognize him. Now, obviously, she hasn't seen him in a while, but
but he's wearing a hood.
He's wearing a hood, and it's a little dark. That annoyed me. Like I was actually annoyed during that part.
Yeah, and I get that like with the professional lighting of this movie and the way that they can angle the camera, like you can make it seem that his face is hidden with the hood.
Yeah,
it's not how it works.
Yeah, it's like Palpatine in episodes like 1
I mean,
and 2.
Clark Kent had a better disguise than that shit. Like
yeah.
I was like, it was so stupid. It was so dragged on, and there were so many lines where it was like, oh, do you get it? She's talking about her husband, but that is her husband, and she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Or oh, do you get it? They're shitting on this guy because they think he's a peasant, but he's actually Odysseus. Do you get it? God, just get on with it. Just get on with it.
And then I would say, like, the other thing that really annoyed me was how many of, like, the exact same shots there were where they would land on an island, get scared by something, run back to the ship, and while running to the ship, like, 4 people die. That literally happens, like, 4 times
It's
in
a
the movie.
very repetitive movie.
And it's like, those scenes were my favorite because it got to show off like the interesting character design. And
the Cyclops was great.
The Cyclops was genuinely awesome. Like I did not know the story of the Odyssey. When that scene was happening, I was like, this is a really good movie because that's such a creative Cyclops design. It's literally just a person with one eye, but I've never seen it designed like that.
It's better than
really
Captain
cool.
Clark.
Absolutely.
I really like the Cyclops bit. It was a little bit goofy that he slept like a cartoon character, like Tom and Jerry. Austin.
It was, yeah.
But like, it was good.
And I didn't think the CGI was all that bad during that scene.
No.
I thought for the most part the CGI was pretty good, with one key exception, which was, well, actually with 2 key exceptions. The arrows, when they would shoot them, I thought looked pretty bad.
I didn't notice that.
I feel like what they would do was like they would pull back with like a real bow that couldn't shoot, so they would like actually let go, but somehow like the arrow stayed on, and then they would just cut that and like send an arrow flying, and I'm assuming that's how they did it, but it looked bad. However they did do it, I was not impressed.
I think the other one we were talking about is the tentacles.
The tentacles.
There's like tentacles that comes out of a mountain, and it like part of that is like it's so well lit in that scene. The sky's like perfectly blue, and that's gonna make it a lot harder to do CGI. But like it doesn't look awful. Mm-hmm. It just looks kind of bad.
And then the only other thing I think that I would really like to comment on is also very similar to the last review we did, Evil Dead Burn. Weird comedy. There was weird comedy where like it happened a few times where the characters would be like, "Oh, we did it," and then get killed. Like there's one line that's like actually during the tentacle scene, it's like, "Oh, we made it," and as soon as he says it, his words get cut off because the tentacles come and they eat him. And then the other one is in like the whole big dinner scene where Odysseus pulls down his hood and he's Odysseus, and one of the main guys who's friends with Robert Pattinson's character, again, I don't know a single name besides Odysseus. He's like, "Wait, you're Odysseus?" and then gets shot in the neck when
he gets a cut off scream.
Yeah, literally happens twice, by the way. Maybe
there are a couple good jump scares. There's also like
weird that there are jump scares. I know you said as literally the second the credits started rolling, you said the word middacy, and like, I wouldn't say that there's anything that this movie does that's like offensively bad. Right. Like everything that we're talking about is kind of like, I didn't like that personally, but I think that this is a good movie. Like I genuinely do think you can watch for 3 hours and you'll be impressed. But I also think that if you're making a 3-hour movie, the audience is making a much bigger time commitment. So like, I think like I said, you really have to earn that extra hour. And in this case, I just don't think it did.
I agree. To clarify, like I'm the exact opposite of a target audience for this movie.
Yeah.
And so that might have something to do with it. Like this fantasy period piece, like super old, that's probably my least favorite genre.
Okay.
Maybe besides like a biopic. But so it's not
I'm a biopic hater too.
Nice. It's not targeted towards me. But I think that what this movie proves is that you can have all of the technical elements in the world. You know, you can have a huge budget. Your movie can look gorgeous. It can be shot entirely on 70mm IMAX. But if your characters and story are just flat and just not that great, the movie is gonna be a kind of dull experience. Even if it looks amazing, sounds amazing, has all this great stuff. You know, I think this proves that movies are much more than that. And like, yes, this has cool battle sequence. Yes, this has amazing, it doesn't really have amazing world building, but just it's a very immersive movie.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say, like, as you were talking about visuals and stuff, I feel like this is definitely one that Christopher Nolan storybooked and then couldn't figure out how to fit the scenes together that like looked cool in his head, so he just threw in, like you said, like the Family Guy cutaways where he would go on an island and just talk, and instead of actually having to connect the scenes, it would just be like, yeah, remember when I did this?
Yeah, it is like it'll like intercut things where it's like things will be sort of out of place within the story, and they'll just cut back to that and then go forward. Again, just for nonlinear sake. But then it also has Tom Holland, just the most bland character ever, talking with John Bernthal, and then at the same time have Matt Damon talking with this other random lady, and both of those things are happening while they're both telling stories and both having cutaway gags. Cutaway gags. And John Bernthal will be like, "Hey Peter, talking about your dad, it kind of reminds me of the time when we fought in the Trojan War together. That was so cool." And then that actually has layers to it because he played Peter Parker, but also Peter Griffin, because family cutaway gag.
Oh, I honestly thought you were still just talking about Spider-Man. That's pretty good.
It's a great joke. But yeah, that's basically what I thought about this movie.
Yeah. It's gonna be hard to forget a movie that I sat in a theater for 3 hours for, but I feel like this is one of those movies that I'm just gonna kind of forget. Like,
it's not gonna stick with me at all.
I'll be honest. Like, part of me earlier today was kind of thinking about what I would not to say that these videos are at all scripted, as you can probably tell, but part of me was thinking like what I would say if it was good, and it just kind of sucks, kind of having to like throw all that out because like I don't know, I hate to say that I had like really high expectations because that's a bad way to approach anything. But based off the trailers, I just thought this was going to be better.
And that darn Letterboxd rating.
Yeah.
Like I'd say this is the movie event of the year. Like if you're at all into movies, like people talk about this. People have talked about this movie for years. To be fair, like this is not what I look for in a movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is very, again, late to be clarifying this, but like if you like this movie, I totally get it. Like I think that there is a ton to like in this movie. It's just, it wasn't for me.
I don't see all the 5 stars though. Like I just can't wrap my head around a 5 star.
I would totally understand even with my current perspective if somebody wanted to give it a 4. Higher than that, I don't know.
I'd say that's glaze.
Even a 4 or
no,
higher?
I'd say higher than a 4 glaze. Let's do this movie in 3 words, 1 word for every star.
Okay.
I'll go first. Stunning, but dull.
I was also okay, now I feel like I have to think of something else because I was gonna say like the exact same thing. I'll do the same thing, but I'll just flip it.
Okay.
Lacking, but beautiful.
Okay.
I was gonna say beautiful but lacking, but because you went positive and then negative, I went negative then positive.
Yin and yang.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of sums up Greenlight Studio in a strangely poetic way.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I'm just pulling that out of my ass. But
yeah, that's about it.
How about you outro this one? I outroed the last one. Tell them what they can do.
Really, I can outro?
Go for it.
Thank you for watching Greenlight Studio.
Oh, was that it? Oh, cut the camera.